Darkness. Absolute suffocating darkness. Superman strained against the restraints, the kryptonite dulling his senses, amplifying the fear gnawing at him. Footsteps echoed in the cavernous space, slow, deliberate, each one a hammer blow on his nerves. Who had done this? Who could overpower him? He strained his super hearing, but the darkness seemed to swallow even sound. Cold metal brushed his cheek. A chill shot down his spine. He was helpless, vulnerable, a sensation alien to the Man of Steel. The footsteps stopped. Silence, heavier than the darkness, pressed in on him. He felt a presence, vibrant, almost electric, standing before him. "Who's there?" His voice, usually a booming baritone, was a rasp, rough with disuse. The silence stretched, agonizing in its emptiness. Fear, cold and sharp, pierced through his usual calm. He was the strongest being on Earth, yet here he was, helpless, at the mercy of an unknown enemy. His breath caught in his throat as he felt a warm puff of air against his ear. Then a voice, soft yet clear, cut through the silence. "You have no idea how long I've waited for this, Kal-El. You are my sexy now." The voice was vaguely familiar, yet distorted, warped into something sinister. Superman's mind raced. Who was this? Who knew his Kryptonian name? "Who are you?" he growled, struggling against the kryptonite-laced restraints. A chuckle, dry and humorless, echoed around him. "You know who I am, Kal-El, or have you gotten so slow in your old age that you don't recognize me anymore? I know you heard about what I did at those P. Diddy after parties." The voice was closer now, laced with a mocking amusement that sent a shiver down Superman's spine. He struggled to place the voice, the cadence too familiar yet twisted into something grotesque. The speedster, it had to be. But why? "Barry," he asked, his voice raspy with disbelief. "Why?" The air crackled with energy. A strong smell of baby oil filled the air. A hand, vibrating with impossible speed, brushed against his cheek, the touch unsettlingly gentle. This isn't Barry, Kal," the voice whispered, a chilling smile in its tone. "This is something different." The air crackled with energy, and the blindfold was ripped away. Superman blinked, momentarily blinded by the sudden light. As his vision cleared, he found himself staring into the face of the Flash, his friend, his ally. But something was wrong. A 55-gallon drum of baby oil began to pour onto Superman. Gone was the usual jovial smile, replaced with a chillingly blank expression. The Flash's eyes, usually sparkling with warmth and humor, blazed with an unsettling intensity. Pupils dilated, irises glowing with a faint, electric blue. "Barry, what's going on?" Superman asked, his voice strained. He tried to activate his X-ray vision to see if something was wrong with his friend, but the kryptonite dampened his powers, leaving him feeling weak and vulnerable. "This isn't Barry, Kal-El," the Flash said, his voice deeper than usual, devoid of its usual energy. "Barry is gone, but P. Barry Diddy is born." He reached out, his hand moving with blurring speed, his fingers ghosting over Superman's chest, tracing the symbol of his heritage. "And you, Kal-El, are going to help me find him." Superman's mind raced. What had happened to Barry? Who was this imposter, and what did he want? He had to stall for time, had to find a way to break free from these kryptonite restraints. "What have you done with him?" he demanded, his voice a low growl. Before the corrupted Flash could answer, the warehouse door swung open with a resounding clang. A spotlight pierced the darkness, momentarily blinding both Superman and his captor. "Barry Allen, we have you surrounded," boomed a voice, laced with the unmistakable self-importance of a man who knew he was in control. Both Superman and the imposter turned towards the source of the voice. Standing in the doorway, microphone in hand, flanked by a camera crew and several bewildered-looking police officers, was Chris Hansen, his face a mask of grim determination. "Barry," Hansen continued, his voice taking on a soothing, almost patronizing tone, "we've been watching you, tracking your internet activity. We know about Green Lantern and the Wonder Twins, what you did to them at P. Diddy's after party, you sick monster. We know all about your little obsession with Superman." He gestured towards the bound hero. Superman turned to Flash and said, "Daddy Boo Bear, I need your help. But it's okay, Barry. We're here to help." The imposter Flash froze, his eyes wide with a mixture of confusion and panic. He looked from the bound Superman to Chris Hansen and his camera crew, his face a mask of bewilderment. For a moment, no one moved. The only sound was the whirring of the camera and the heavy breathing of the police officers. Then, as quickly as he had appeared, the imposter Flash was gone, disappearing in a blur of speed, leaving a stunned silence in his wake. The restraints binding Superman clattered to the floor, severed by a vibrating hand moving faster than the human eye could follow. He looked up to see the real Flash, his friend and ally, his eyes filled with concern and a touch of sheepishness. "Sorry about that, Supes," he said, scratching the back of his head. "Things got a little out of hand." Superman, still recovering from the shock of his capture and the even more shocking intervention, could only manage a wry smile. "Just don't let it happen again, Barry," he said, his voice laced with a mixture of relief and amusement.